Hello, y'all out there. Welcome back to season 2, episode 119 of Paranormal NL Podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, and soon on YouTube. I'm your host, Jen. For tonight's show, let's give a big shout out to who introduced me to tonight's guest. A big shout out to JJ Rose 777 from California, who is on PNL Podcast Season 2, Episode 48. Tonight, let's take some time to remember September 11th, 2021. And let's also send out some hugs to everyone again around the globe dealing with crazy weather, summer fires, earthquakes, and hurricanes like the Cat 2 Hurricane Francine that just made landfall in Louisiana. And that potential Air Canada pilot strike. Yeah, that's no fun. But anyway, let's time and now to pull up your cozy chair and listen in to your favorite podcast, Paranormal NL Podcast. It's a place where the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, and anywhere else in the world can share their paranormal experiences. PNL Podcast also believes in supporting people, places, and things to promote paranormal tourism and paranormal networking all over the world. A big thank you again to all the PNL Podcast alumni guests from season 1 and 2, and of course, our fans. We want to hear your stories. Do you have any paranormal, metaphysical, UFO, cryptid creatures, folklore, historical books, or just tales of the weird you'd like to share as a guest on my guest on PNL Podcast? Please reach out to me on Facebook, Insta, or Gmail. You can see the email in the bottom in the description of the episode later. And after your episode, you'll become part of the PNL Podcast Alumni-Network. And make sure you click on either the like or the bell and subscribe to follow along on whatever platform you're using to get updates for new episodes. And head on over to Facebook and join our group, Paranormal NL Podcast Group. We'd love to see you there. Find upcoming new PNL episodes in the featured section of the group. We're listening to our fans. PNL is now on YouTube, Insta, and has a Facebook page for fans who are not on Insta for the Instagram Reel Drops and a spot for the PNL Bog Team Investigation Facebook Go Lives. That's right. PNL Podcast has a new branch of Paranormal NL Podcast with the PNL Bog Team. It's a boots-on-the-ground investigation team doing local historic investigations in Newfoundland. Our fans asked us, Paranormal Podcast merch and the new PNL Bog Team merch is now available on TeePublic. All kinds of different stuff for what you guys wanted. Now, let's get on with the show. I'm going to bring on the StreamYard stage tonight with me. I have Mr. Chucky Danger, and he's also with the Countercult Podcast and the International Paranormal Alliance Linktree Mastermind. Welcome, Chucky, from British Columbia.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Jen.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome back. I know we had you on the show. You were here with us before, back in season 2, on another episode of PNL Podcast.
Yeah. We went over some ultraviolet stuff that I study and some Bigfoot stuff. And I think tonight we'll get into a ghost story.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I know before we did a lot of the bioluminescence and stuff like that, and I was doing mostly radio then, so I didn't get to put up any videos. Do you have any videos for us that we can share tonight and any of that stuff? Or any pictures?
I have a lot of pictures that are posted up on my Instagram, but videos, not so much.
Yeah, we can either use
That's something
videos
that
or
I'm
pictures.
going to get into eventually, but I haven't got there yet.
Okay. Yeah,
It's kind of hard to juggle a flashlight and a camera at the same
right?
time.
I'm gonna get some duct tape, Chucky, and like just strap it on your chest there, and then you can go
Right.
around with your with your ultraviolet light. But
Exactly.
tell me about your encounter. What happened, or what was it?
Well, this was a rather scary encounter, and I think to set the stage, I need to give a little background information,
Okay,
and that goes back to my great-grandmother.
your great grandmother.
And so growing up, visiting my great-grandmother, she would tell me stories of this lady ghost that would tuck her and her sister in at night. And
Okay,
this was on a little farmyard that's actually not that far away from where I am right now. And growing up, they would play this game of who was brave enough to see the white lady tuck them in. like who could stay up without covering their head in the sheets.
So it was a farmhouse. Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually still there, but it's very dilapidated these days. Um, I think it's actually being propped up by 2 storage containers right now, so it's, like, on the verge of collapse. But, yeah, the old house is still there. Um
Do you ever go around and explore?
Oh, someone owns there. I don't know
Oh.
the people,
Oh,
so
okay.
I just see it from the highway when we drive by.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, but, yeah, so I had all these stories of this white lady that would tuck in my great-grandmother, and, you know, around grade 9, summer of grade 9, um, I was starting to hit that rebellious teenage phase in my life, right?
Right, yeah,
And
everybody goes through that one.
yeah, and, we used to do church on Saturdays, and, um, that would always interfere with when I wanted to do sleepovers with my friends.
Oh, you know
So,
what? As a teenager, sleepovers and church don't mix, do they?
yeah, especially when you're a wild child and you
You
and
wanna
your
go
friends
out.
just wanna go out fishing all weekend, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so I put up a stink and I stopped going to church, and almost pretty soon after I stopped going, I started to get visited.
Oh,
Um, so the very first time that I saw what I saw, I remember I was in my bedroom. I had these 2 sliding glass French doors, and I had them all, like, collaged over with posters and stuff like that, so you couldn't see out of the glass. And, I was up late at night. I was reading Lord of the Rings, and, this is probably, like, 3 in the morning. I was up way too late for what I should have been. Um, but
That's the witching
oh,
hour, though, 3 in
it
the
it
morning.
it is the witching hour, yeah. So, over top of the book, I see this figure of a woman just come right through the closed doors, and she's floating above the floor, like, a foot, and it's this blonde lady that is wearing, like, a poofy Victoria style dress, um, with, like, a little bit of a bonnet type thing,
Wow, so you could
and
really sell the full-on apparition.
oh,
The
yeah, very,
details of the
very, very
clothing.
good detail,
Wow.
and she just floated straight on through, from the doors and then out the wall on the other side of the room, just,
Okay.
like, right beside me,
Did she
and
notice you or look at you or just went on about her business?
she just went on about her business that time,
Okay,
and
well, that time, uh-oh.
yeah.
But wait. Okay.
Oh, but wait, there's
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
So, this being my very first experience, um, I thought it was kinda cool. Um, I thought it was scary, obviously,
Mm.
but, it didn't come off as, like, intentionally terrifying or anything like that. It was just like, what just happened?
Right, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of us call that, like, residual when they don't recognize or notice you, they're just, like, doing their own thing, right?
Mhm.
But
And so this is, like, summertime, and so it's rather hot out, and, I didn't actually have my windows open, but when she came into the room, the temperature just drastically dropped. Like, it got
mm,
cold,
okay.
and and, I told my friends about this, and, uh, she would keep coming back pretty much every night,
Same time?
uh, pretty well.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, right around then.
Through
Um,
those doors.
yeah, so she would come through, and eventually she got to where she would actually touch the bed.
Oh,
Um, like,
like, come up to you?
she would stand beside the bed, and I would hide under my covers, and anytime that I would reach for my light, which was on like this old school wooden headboard, so I had to actually reach up to get at my light, there would be this aggressive blizzard wind that would blow in the room, and you would just be so invoked with fear that you didn't even want to touch the lamp.
Wow.
But like it was to the point where like if you wanted to make a sound, you couldn't. So the level of fear just kept started ramping up more and more and more. And actually had some sleepovers with friends, and
Mhm.
one of them actually saw her,
Okay.
and the other one experienced the cold wind in the room.
Okay, so you got a second witness and another person experiencing the coldness. What did the other
Mhm.
person say about her? Like, did they see, like, her full-on apparition like you described, or
Yeah. So
yeah?
basically, my friend was sleeping on the floor beside my bed, um, on some cushions, and she drifted through the room directly between us.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. So that was something.
That woke him up, or, or whoever was up, I'm sure you were.
Yeah, it
Did you
didn't
turn the
come
light
back
on
again.
after, or no?
Oh, yeah. Turned on the light. But, yeah, friends stopped
So
coming
had you
over for
told him
sleepovers.
about this before or no?
Oh, yeah, we talked about it, but, like, talking about it and seeing it are 2 different things.
Exactly, yeah, unless you have your own experience. So they knew
Yeah.
before they were sleeping over that there might be something coming to visit.
Yeah. And then when it did, it was just like, that was a lot, you know? But, after that, it started to get a lot more purposefully trying to scare me. Like, I would go to bed and I'd be basically asleep, and you would feel at the end of the bed indentations of someone standing on the end of the bed.
Oh.
Like like my feet would be in the middle and there'd be a foot on either side of where my feet are, and
Mhm.
you can feel that weight press down on the mattress.
Mhm. Unless anybody's experienced that themselves, that is, like, next level, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you can feel this thing staring a hole into where you're hiding underneath the covers.
Mm.
Like just standing there staring down at you. Like it's
Did
terrifying.
your grandmother and them have similar things that you were talking about? Like, I know they had saw her, but did she
No. No,
get
not like
physical
this.
like this? Or the
Not like this.
mm,
Like, she sounded like she was rather friendly for my great-grandmother. I think
right.
this was something else entirely. Um, I think it masqueraded as
I
a
was just
type
gonna
of
say, yeah, it usually starts out
avatar that would be
friendly and then it gets worse.
recognizable.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and then, like, the next time that it, like, interacted with the bed, um, it came into the room and out the wall, and I got all scared, and so I, like, turned on the light quickly, and the wind blew, and then I still hid under the covers, and while I'm under the covers, it comes up to right by my head, and just 2 fists down on the mattress right beside me, and you're so scared that you can't scream. That was
Yeah,
that
that's
was
that's
next
next
level.
level. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Did you talk to anybody or friends about it? The ones who
At
witnessed it
tha
before?
at that point, I started to talk to my mom and be like, "Hey, I can't handle this anymore. This is getting to be too much. What do I do?"
Right.
Because, like, I can't get this thing to go away. I can't
Mhm.
scream when this thing comes. Um, and she said, "Well, you need to tell it in Jesus' name. I
Mhm.
rebuke you." And
Mhm.
so the last encounter that I had with this thing, it I was reading my book again, and the school year had already started at this point, so I think we were into fall. It's been a couple months of this. And not every encounter was like super intense. It might have just been like quickly drift through the room, or the wind blowing around. But yeah, this last encounter was just like the first. I was in my bedroom reading. She came through the doors, out through the wall on the other side. And, I put my book away. I turned on the light. I hid under the covers, and everything seemed to calm down.
Right.
So I got brave, and I took my head out from underneath the covers, and I had this window that was right beside the bed.
Okay.
And right below the windowsill, right like this, I see a head pop through the wall. And instead of being this blonde lady, it's now dark hair, and it looks like it's dripping wet. And the hair's just hanging down, and all I see is the back of the head.
Right.
And as I'm looking at this in abject terror, the head slowly starts spinning like this. And the face that was shown to me on the other side of that head was absolutely terrifying. Like, the face was an abyss that went on forever. The eyes were like laser dots of just like burning red. Not so much eyes, just like, pinpricks of red light. And then there was this Cheshire cat like smile of these long needle like teeth just grinning. And in that moment is when I said, "In Jesus' name I rebuke you." And the head just pulled back through the wall again and never came back.
It's interesting that all this happened when you stopped going to church.
It is kind of interesting how that
Did
happened.
you go after this, or
I
like when that went
didn't
away?
know.
No?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And what did your friends say when you told them about that?
About this encounter?
Right.
Uh, I mean, a lot of people didn't believe me because, like, it sounds crazy.
Yeah, like, unless you have another witness with you, who's gonna believe you, right? Unless other
Yeah.
people in your family you can talk to, right? So,
Yeah.
but, I mean, you had these other 2 people who were with you who did witness and experience and feel the temperature change and stuff. What did your mom say? Did she have any experiences?
I mean, she never saw it, no.
No?
Um, she was always asleep whenever this would happen.
Mhm.
Um, she started praying around that time when I started asking for help.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it really took doing that actual vocal rebuking myself to get it to go
I was
away.
just gonna say that, people think, okay, when we talk about clearing and cleansing and things like that, a lot of people say, "Well, I had somebody come in and do it, or somebody prayed for me." Well, it doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
You have to do it yourself, and it didn't go away until after you told it to go away, right?
Correct.
Because if
Yeah.
you still believe it's there, then, it's gonna keep coming back. You have to tell it, "Get out, you're not welcome here," and, not have somebody else rely on somebody else to do it, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
talk about that a
absolutely.
lot when I had a couple of people on the episode one time, and they were talking about, like, exorcisms and stuff like that, and, one of the main things that the church say is that, well, they won't go in and help or anything like that if you're the person who's having the problems won't, do that first step themselves, then they
Correct.
can't then they won't go in and help because you have to do that part yourself, right?
It's, an important part of doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you, like, go to I know you go in the woods and stuff like that a lot, and for some reason, I don't know why, but the woods are weird sometimes, right? Do you ever, like, do any other cleansings or things like that, like, in,
Oh,
like,
sure.
rituals in your house or when you go in the woods or
Yeah, I got my own little system that I do.
any that
Basically
you're
what
willing to
JJ
share?
Rose 777 teaches, and, some personal prayers that I say myself. And Yeah, I went a long time being atheist and uh, came back into being spiritual, you know, right around 2020. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people would actually share something like that. Did this kind of experience help you to change or cause you to change?
Well, it let me know that there was a lot more going on in this world than we ever give credit to.
Mhm.
And,
Well,
it,
you
it
made a post about the bioluminescence, about how humans can't see certain frequencies. Did you wanna mention
mhm.
that?
Well, yeah,
Because
we
that
can't.
talks about the realm. There is
Yeah,
you know?
it does. They come from another realm. And, I mean, call it the veil.
Mhm.
But really that could just be a different frequency of light.
Mhm.
Um
Well, I've gotten a
and
lot of EVPs and stuff, and that this we live in the dark. We live in the shadows, repeatedly.
hmm, right. Yeah. 'Cause like if you think about it, some of these things, like especially this thing, we emit light ourselves. So
Right.
every living cell on this planet emits ultraviolet light. And what if these things are light parasites?
Hmm.
What if they come to feed off the light, right? If they live in the shadows, like I don't know, not everything is good, but not everything is bad either. There's a lot of in between as well. Uh, these spiritual beings can masquerade and shapeshift and do all kinds of crazy abilities that we have no idea about,
Well, a
right?
lot of indigenous people talk a lot about different things in relation to this, and I mean, we're
Hmm.
both from Canada. Your neck of the woods and my neck of the woods, we both have, a lot of different folklores and things. Do you have any in particular you can think of in British Columbia when it comes to folklore and things like that?
Oh yeah, I went down a rabbit hole researching Canadian folklore and especially when it came to the Fae.
Right? Yeah.
And yeah, there's some pretty interesting stories. Um, out here in British Columbia, there's quite a few stories of dwarves actually,
Mhm.
like out by Osoyoos.
Oh, Soyuz?
Um, yeah, which is now like heavy wine country. Um, there's also some pretty big mines down there, uh,
Okay. Yeah, I've heard a
which
lot of theories
also
about mines, yeah.
yeah, also interesting. But the stories of the dwarves actually came from people that would live along the rivers, and these dwarves would come in at night and take fish from their nets
Okay.
and be little miscreants. Like they'd come in, steal fish, laugh at them, and then basically like they had special canoes, they said in the stories, and these canoes could just go right into solid rock walls on the riverbank,
Interesting.
just like disappear.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's a lot of
then
stuff nowadays on the go about different portals and stuff, and you look at, like, Skinwalker Ranch and stuff coming in
mhm.
and out of the mesa and all this kinda stuff, and, who's to say that's not actually a how I think we talked about this before, like, camouflage kinda thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you could change to a different light frequency that humans can't see, that would be easy camouflage.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, have you seen the Predator videos where it looks like
I was
just like a shimmer?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the Predator, yeah.
So, say you or I were able to cloak in a different frequency, right?
Mhm.
I'm in a frequency of light where you can no longer see my human physical shape. What you would then see is aura, and that comes off looking a lot like heat shimmer, which is a lot like these predator videos where you see just like a shimmer outline of a person.
Mhm.
right? So
Well, I
what
mean,
you're
our
actually
military already
seeing,
has camo tech, right? It's not
yeah.
we haven't seen it, but, we have it, right?
Well, I've seen demonstrations of camo tech.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, it's rudimentary stuff where you hold up like
Yeah,
this
like a
shield type thing and
right.
hide behind it,
Yeah.
and it bends the light and everything behind you.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you really watch those demonstration videos, there's actually soldiers walking around in the background behind them that you can't see,
'Cause they're
but they're
using it.
there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you gotta look for the subtle movement, but again, it's like seeing aura. You can do it if you really concentrate, and it just comes off looking like heat shimmer.
It's interesting you say the word aura, because I know when I talk to a lot of metaphysical people, they talk about every person has their own aura, their own frequency
Mhm.
that if you concentrate or things like that, that you could see. And it's interesting, when you talk about that kind of stuff, because if you throw, let's say, like salt or water, and then you put whether it be music or infrasound or something to it, it changes into different shapes.
Yep. Yep.
That's
That
pretty
yeah.
cool too.
That's, cymatics.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can take a plate of sand and you can take, like, a violin bow and scrape it down onto the metal plate or whatever that this sand is
Yeah.
on, and it will take all kinds of geometric shapes
Yes.
that are remarkably similar to a lot of artwork and stuff
Yes.
and actual megalithic structures
Mhm.
of ancient cultures. So they had a well-defined knowledge of cymatics,
Yeah, I think they
especially earth cymatics. Um, the frequency that comes directly out of the earth, they had a well-tuned knowledge of.
yeah, I think that there's something that we've forgotten over the many thousands of years that they knew about,
Oh, absolutely.
for sure. Yeah, that kind of stuff
Yeah.
is really interesting.
Yeah. And I think there was a lost civilization here in North America that is not being talked about and actively covered up.
Tell me more
Um,
about that.
well, have you heard of the Montana Sage Wall?
No. Montana
So,
sage wall.
yeah, out in Montana, there is this wall that is megalithic in structure, and it looks an awful lot like the stones in Peru. Like, they're all kinds of different shapes, all interlocking. It's almost like they've been poured like concrete to be specific shapes and just, like, interlock so tightly that you can't get a piece of paper between them.
I think I may have seen what it is you're talking about, I think.
It's on private property,
Okay.
um, but out in Saskatchewan, which is not very far away, right near the Alberta border, there's the Saskatchewan Mystery Stones, and
Saskatchewan mystery stones. Tell me more about
yeah.
that.
Well, they're also on private property, but the video that I saw on them, they look exactly the same except they're in rubble. Like they've been pushed down and destroyed out in this field, and it's just strewn about stone, but they're all hand cut, and those weird shapes that are in those walls. So
Hmm.
it would indicate that it's the same civilization, and that's really not that far away if you look at it on a map.
Right, yeah, when you think about it, it's not too far
Because the
away.
Sage Wall is in northern Montana, right near the border of Saskatchewan and Alberta. And then you got these mystery stones that are north of that. And then we also have the East Bay Walls out in California. Um, these stone walls that traverse a lot of area. So they're kind of all over the place by the ocean side there. And there's all kinds of dolmens out in Montana too that nobody really talks about. And I mean, these are huge stones that are balanced on three little stones underneath.
Makes you wonder. Like, why were they
Well,
doing this?
yeah. I mean, they say it's just glacial deposits, right? I don't think so.
Mm.
I don't think so.
Yeah, not by the way it's carved, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of other things that people, think about, when it comes to all kinds of hidden stuff, and I love all the ancient alien stuff too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, like, on Instagram, there's a channel that I really love watching, and that is the Boneyard Alaska.
Boneyard, Alaska? Yeah?
Yeah, Boneyard, Alaska. This is a mining company, and while they are using their water cannon to melt away the permafrost, they come across all kinds of Ice Age creatures, like
Oh, okay.
mammoths, steep bison, saber-toothed tigers,
Hmm.
cave bears, dire wolves, and sometimes they come across stuff that is possibly human-made.
Oh,
Like,
really?
they find bones that are cut so precisely that they look like they put through a chop saw,
Hmm. Make you wonder,
and
doesn't it?
it certainly does, and they just showed, like, an arrowhead, like, last week. So, this is supposedly coming from an area in a time period when there was not supposed to be people there,
But they're finding arrowheads mixed amongst all these fossils.
and there was a caribou antler with a man's face carved into it,
Okay, well, that's
right?
not normal.
Yeah, but,
That's
humans weren't there, right?
no, we weren't there. It was the aliens carving humans' faces in it.
Right.
So tell me about the Countercult podcast. I know that I usually, do the whole 30-minute thing, but hey, let's do a double episode. Tell me about Countercult podcast.
I mean, we cover a lot of stuff on Countercult, paranormal conspiracies, we talk about survival tips and tricks and stuff like that. It's really just like a fun time.
Yeah.
Um,
And
right now we're kind of into a series on holy relics and mythical items.
tell everybody where we can find you, or for people who are listening, where they can find Chucky Danger.
You can listen to me on Countercult on Apple and Spotify and Rumble, and you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, and I think there's even a Facebook. You can email us at countercult.podcast@gmail.com. And if you want to find me personally, I am on Instagram at Chucky_danger. And there you can come see some of my ultraviolet photos and see the evidence that I put forward that suggests that, maybe some of these paranormal things use this frequency as well.
And tell us more also about your IPA.
Ah, yes. The International Paranormal Alliance. So this is a program that I came up with that it really is to help everyone in this uh, genre grow. Um, Anyone that wants to become a part of it, they can ask to join, and then all you got to do is like put in your show notes the Linktree for this, and then everyone that's added into the group is part of the Linktree. So I usually say at the end of a show, if you enjoy listening to us, please consider checking this out and following some of these other fine folk that have similar content.
Yeah.
And
And I'll post it in the episode description too. And you can see Countercult Linktree and all the other link trees that are in there. So you can
yeah, so
find
it's not
Chucky
just for
Danger.
podcasts either. It's also for tool makers and other practitioners in the paranormal. So you can find divination and bone throws and tarot readers and stuff like that.
You've
It's pretty
also got
diverse.
Yeah, you've got authors in there, and you've
Yes.
got the film industry
Filmmakers.
producers in there, artists.
Yep.
You name it.
It's a pretty big group, and it's growing.
Yeah. So thanks for doing that. We really appreciate it. And where else can people find you, Chucky?
That's about it. I like
Well,
to keep
really,
it simple.
yeah, right. We really appreciate you being on the show today and sharing some of your really cool stories with us. And you're welcome back again anytime.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show tonight. And everybody, thanks for listening and stay spooky out there. I know everybody's getting ready for spooky season soon. So I'm going to cut the recording here and then we can do a quick off air chat before we peace out.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks, Charles. Chuck it.